the short video on using Google Trends to do a bit of basic data analysis of happiness. So here's the website, Google Trends, and so we wanted to find a new way of analysing whether people are happy in different countries. So the most basic thing we could do is to type in happy. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. But essentially, you want to design some search term that people are searching for, which suggests that they're happy. So we can look in how many people are happy, how many people use happy in a search term. And you see you get a little line graph, and you can adjust the how long ago it is, from 4 hours to 2004. And so this is the United States. You can see that there's some kind of fluctuations, which I guess we're perhaps not so interested. And then after around 2012, people seem to be getting more happy, or that they're searching for more happy. We'll discuss that in a minute. You can choose different countries. So if you want to do Finland, say, and you see that Finland looks a bit different. So again, there's a kind of peak after around 2011, but there's a bit of a bump. Okay, so what are the units? The units here are between 0 and 100. And from the help section of Google Trends, they kind of normalize their search data. Obviously, for big places like the United States, there's more people there, so the number of search terms goes up. So they kind of divide by the total number of search terms. They decide what they do, and then there's some other things they mess around. But essentially, they get a number between 0 and 100 to show how many terms they have, how many search terms. You can also add another term here. You might want to say, well, happy. I mean, the hard part is actually designing a search term that kind of makes sense. But you could also test this by saying, if people are happy, compare what happens when they're sad. That's sad. Let's click on that. Oops. Okay, have a little typo in there. Okay, so you can see sad's much lower. Okay, so and then if you want to download it, you just click on here, and it gives you it downloads your file into Microsoft Excel. And here you have all the numbers, and it gives you by year. So ideally, you want to have some R code. You want to say average these numbers are happy for one particular year. And also, you told me about the okay. So this is what you get. You get a spreadsheet essentially from Google Trends, and it gives you the search term, gives you by country. You can have additional search terms in different countries, and then you can kind of do an Excel file. And you can average over years and look at what the numbers are. Okay, so one thing you might want to do is so this is the happiness index I got from the World Happiness Report, and okay, here we have the United Kingdom. But it'd be interesting to look at the correlation between what you get from Google Trends against the see if there's any correlations between the happiness number, which is kind of self-selecting. So my understanding how this index thing, people are asked how happy do you feel, and then there's numbers each year. So you could look at see if there's any correlations between the happiness index and the Google Trends for happiness that we just did. You get two kind of spreadsheets. You can do a kind of look for correlations. Okay, so the kind of hard part about this is okay. So we've done something very nice here. I just look for happy. That doesn't really, as usual, these things. The art is designing a search term that kind of selects onto happy people, because you could be saying happy will also include things like searches for like, how do I become happy? I am not happy. I am, and you want to sort of somehow, the hard part is thinking of some search term that shows that the person's happy, or is in a good place, or is satisfied with their life, and then you have to have. So I don't have a particularly good explanation at the moment, but here's this thing on Wikipedia on sentiment analysis, which I'm sure you've carried, and this is looking for phrases to tell what the sentiment of the people is, and so some of the problems is issues like, I do not dislike cabin cruises. So if you did a kind of naive sentiment analysis, you might see dislike, and you think, that person's very negative, but actually, because there's a not in front of it, it's actually not disliking something is the same as liking something, and that'll kind of bias results somehow. Okay, so I mean, part of the project is just thinking of how to actually, if there's any way to incorporate this Google Trends, some kind of phrases that tells you some combination of these search terms here that tells you that people are their state of mind when they do these searches, and then you can kind of compare that against the happiness indices from the World Happiness Report, because that's done by year, and to see if you can get a kind of little correlation. I mean, I would only do this for a couple of test cases, like maybe the United Kingdom, the same kind of things you have in your test cases, in your case histories, just to keep it all manageable, and then do some kind of test. And so the thing to think about is to read a little about sentiment analysis and see if you can design some phrases that are that tell whether people are happy or sad, and then you can see it's quite easy to download into an Excel file. Okay,